trophy has a red and gold reflection.
These guys are hungry for more. They want to build a dynasty here.
Believe in each other. Fly around. Let's find a way to win this game.
And he's going to be hit. Chris Jones got him in a bear hug. Pacheco blasts into the end zone at the 10-5. Leap to the end zone. Touchdown.
It was just 2 weeks ago that the Chiefs defeated the Broncos on Thursday Night Football. But now, just 18 days later, it's time for another edition of this classic rivalry as the Chiefs aim to remain perfect in the division. We are 2 hours from kickoff. You've waited all week for this very moment. It's almost here. It is time for football in Chiefs Kingdom. Let's do this. My name is Matt McMullen, joined by voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. This is Field Pass, presented by StorageMart. And Mitch, for the second time in 3 weeks, it's the Broncos on the other sideline.
Yeah, crazy. One of those quirks in the schedule. It happens every now and then. But to play these guys twice in 17 days, you would think has much changed. Actually, there's more that has changed than you would think. And then I think they're pouring everything into this game. And the elements probably help them a bit. And let's hope Patrick Mahomes is okay. Battling the flu, but let's hope the Chiefs can get out of here with a win.
A little bit colder here today than it was 2 weeks ago.
A little bit.
In Kansas City.
That's a big change.
Yeah, it sure is. Now, we're going to talk all about this matchup here over the next 30 minutes or so, but first, we have some pretty big news to get to. If you include Mitch's fill-in game for Kevin Harlan way back in 1991, this is your 500th game as the voice of the Chiefs. 500 games, if you include that fill-in game, spans more than 3 decades. That's more than 30,000 game minutes that you've brought to life for fans around the world. I know you don't get wrapped up in this kind of stuff, but what's 500 mean to you, my friend?
Wow, every time I'm on the bus coming to the game, I have my own music mix. And honestly, my life flashes in front of my eyes before every game. And there were so many memories flooding today on the bus. But I was thinking next week was 500, but I forgot the opener in 91 when I filled in for Kevin Harlan. So I appreciate you remembering it. But, man, and honestly, what was interesting was 400 was here.
Wow.
This was here. This was the Batman left-handed pass in 2018. So I guess it's something about Denver and milestones, but thanks for mentioning it. I'm very humble.
Well, congratulations. Nobody has done it better than you. But far more importantly than that, you're an amazing friend, an amazing mentor, and an amazing person. So let's make 500 a victory today, right?
Let's do it. If we get 400 was great. 500 would feel awesome too. But it's to be my boyhood team. I was close to several other jobs, Carolina Panthers and other jobs, but to get the boyhood dream job is amazing. So just thankful to the Lord, but thankful for you. I love working with you every day. It's awesome. Blessing.
Congratulations.
Thanks,
it's an honor
brother.
to work with you. Let's talk about this Broncos squad and how we can make this 500th game for you a victory. And my first thought on the Broncos is simple. This is a team that's kept their resolve, right? Would have been very easy for this team to really pack it in after that loss on Thursday Night Football, but they fought hard and got a victory last week over Green Bay.
I think that's the biggest issue that the Chiefs have to face. I really thought after that Thursday night game where the Chiefs beat them 19-8 that they would start trading off some assets. They're trying to, I think, with Sean Payton, kind of get some picks back from the Seahawks trade when they had the Russell Wilson trade. But they kept their resolve, and they were very good last week, I thought, on both sides of the ball against the Green Bay Packers. So the Chiefs will face a motivated foe today. They're sick of losing to the Chiefs for 8 consecutive years, basically. So the Chiefs have their hands full today. The Chiefs have to have their A game.
Well, one of the reasons they beat the Packers last week was the success of their rushing attack. They ran for 145 yards as a team last week, and it came from different places. Javonte Williams had his best game of the season with 82 rushing yards. Jaleel McLaughlin continues to be super efficient with his carries. Only 5 carries last week, but had 45 yards on the ground. I keep waiting for them to give him the ball more often. Maybe it'll be today. Good player. And then Russell Wilson even had a 21-yard rush last week. Stopping this Broncos offense begins with containing this running game.
No question, Javonte Williams, I think, is fully back from that treacherous knee injury that he had. He had 82 yards last week against Green Bay. That's the most he's had since week 13 of 2021. And if you look at their rushes of 20 yards or more, even all season long, only 2 teams have more than the Denver Broncos. The other effect here is they can catch the ball. Those all three backs, Samaje Perine is in this discussion too. So you have 4 runners if you count Russ Wilson, and then you've got 3 guys that can catch it from Wilson in the running back position.
And you mentioned they produce big plays, and they had a bunch of big plays last week against Green Bay. As a whole, the Broncos recorded 10 plays of at least 15 yards last week. 4 of those were runs. That was the most of any team in Week 7. Now, the Chiefs have been pretty good at containing big plays this year. Now, the Chargers got them for a few in the first half last week, but the defense really shut the door in the second half.
Yeah, I think the Chargers maybe showed a little bit of a blueprint to the Broncos, and we'll talk about Nick Bolton being out. But there were some times where when the Chargers kind of ganged up on the linebackers a bit with some double, like some power O plays. The 49-yard play for the touchdown by Kelly was one where they got to Drew Tranquill at the Mike Beckner position. But the Chiefs, as you brought up, have been very good against the run against these guys. In the game 17 days ago, their longest run was 15 yards. So they kept all of these aforementioned dudes contained in both the run and pass game, and that'll be imperative today. Because one thing Denver has been awful at is time of possession. They're last in the league in time of possession. That baffles me with the runners that they've got. Today, they want to flip-flop. That game 17 days ago, Matt, the Chiefs ran 70 plays. The Broncos only ran 49. And if Denver thinks they're going to upset the Chiefs today, they have to really flip those numbers.
Well, think about this Chiefs defense. It's Week 8, and the Chiefs are the number 2 scoring defense in the NFL. They're the only team in the NFL to not allow more than 21 offensive points in a single game this season. And you mentioned the game a few weeks ago. They held the Broncos to 8 total points in Week 6. The Broncos didn't score until like 4 minutes remained in the game. What are some keys for you defensively to slow down this Broncos offense?
Can we talk? It starts with the first possession. Denver, 2-5, is second in the league in scoring on the first possession. The only team they haven't scored on the first possession against all year.
Wonder who that was.
The Chiefs in that Thursday night game. So one key, Matt, to me, is the awareness for the Chiefs defensively against this Bronco offense. And it starts with the first snap, it starts with the first drive, and it starts with the first down on every possession of this game. If you can get them not necessarily behind the chains, but somewhat predictable, it can take some of that juice out of what they want to do today, which is control the football, Denver.
They did a great job of that back in Week 6. Let's do that here again today.
Yes, sir.
Now, speaking of defense, let's talk about the Broncos defense a little bit. A really interesting study. They had some very well-documented struggles early in the season. Weeks 1 through 5, they were giving up more than 36 points per game on average. Over the last 2 games, though, only giving up 36 points combined. This defense is playing much better football lately.
They are, and what's the issue here? Can they get teams off the field? There's 73 opponent possessions against the Broncos this year, and only 7 3-and-outs. So that's part of and the Chiefs are number 1 in the NFL in fewest 3-and-outs. So we always talk about Denver controlling the ball and Denver being good on first down. There's the other side of this, and that's the Chiefs being continued good on first down, and especially staying on the field. So for the Denver defense, what strikes me about them is, one, I know we're going to get into this in a minute, but they get Baron Browning.
Yep.
That helps them because they've got Cooper, and they've also got Nick Bonito, who's very underrated as a pass rusher. But their scheme is the old cliche, bend but not break. Play a lot of zone. They'll play a lot of matchup. They'll show zone and then man up on you if you come into my area, and that's caused some problems for the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes has thrown more picks against these guys than any team in the NFL. He's thrown 9. That's what they're hoping for today, forcing the Chiefs to be patient, maybe thinking Mahomes isn't 100%, and staying in their zones and making the Chiefs earn every yard.
Well, you mentioned Baron Browning. I want to ask you about him.
Yeah.
Really good player. He was second on the Broncos in total pressures last year with 38. Now, he had knee surgery in the offseason, so he missed the first 6 games of the year, but came back last week and was pretty good on a limited snap count. Just had 17 pass rushing snaps last week, but had 4 pressures. He's going to play a lot more here today, and the Chiefs will need to be ready for him.
Yeah, they had him on a rotational basis, mentioned with Cooper and Bonito, mostly on passing downs, although those were 16, I think, pass rush plays that he had on 29 snaps.
Yeah.
But I think today you could see all 3 of these guys in there at the same time. I think that's the wrinkle of Denver throwing Vance Joseph, throwing everything at Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid today, is the fact that all 3 of those speed rush guys could be out there at the same time to wreak a little havoc. The Chiefs have to run the ball today. There's going to be sometimes they have to commit to the run, I think, whether it's Pacheco or McKinnon or, Clyde, or the other different ways, including Mahomes, or the jet sweeps. Rashee Rice becomes a weapon. McCole Hardman's a weapon. Kadarius Toney, perhaps. The run game will have to be there in every way, shape, or form.
But even when they throw, here's some good news. The Chiefs have allowed the fewest sacks in the NFL this year with just 7 allowed. And if you look at Pro Football Focus metrics, Patrick Mahomes has been the best quarterback in the NFL when under pressure. So that's certainly good when you're facing a good pass rush like this. And if you look back at Week 6, the Chiefs moved the ball up and down the field on the Broncos. I mean, on 11 possessions, they had 9 drives that ended up in Broncos territory, nearly had 400 yards of offense. The issue was the red zone. We all know that, right? They finished 1 for 5 in the red zone. They've got to finish in the red zone here today.
And really close last time. They're at the 11, the 7, the 3. Remember, it's the fake punt. Tried the Philadelphia tush push. That didn't work so good on the fake punt. And then and Denver did a really good job in the red zone. They're stingy to score on down there, but that's where maybe the run game can become effective. And honestly, we talked about McCole Hardman and his addition. They didn't see him last time, 17 days ago. But his ability to attack the edge, like we said last week, and we saw it last week, and his ability in the red zone with that crossing pattern for a first down, that's an element the Broncos did not see. So that becomes an asset for the Chiefs in the red zone in this game.
Well, and that performance in the red zone back in Week 6 was kind of an anomaly, right? Because if you look at the rest of the games this season, the Chiefs have been really good in the red zone. Take out the 1 for 5. They're 15 for 23 in the red zone this year. That's a 65% success rate. That'd be 4th in the NFL. So red zone is obvious. But outside of that, what's a key for the Chiefs offense here today to find success?
I think to be unpredictable, but also then to commit to the run, as I mentioned.
Sure.
And that is commit to the run, maybe even 3 straight runs. Let this offensive line eat a little bit. On a day like today, I mean, we're in the 20s here. And so this feels like a December game instead of a late October game. But that's a key there. And then just command the line of scrimmage. We're seeing this offensive line. You know what's overrated or underrated here? Because we talk about the Chiefs being number 1 in the NFL with fewest sacks. They're also top 3 in the lowest percentage rate against them. We haven't talked enough about Donovan Smith or Jawan Taylor. We were all over those guys, right, early in the season, the Lions game, and all of a sudden those two have settled in pretty well. But it's a matter of not only commanding the line of scrimmage, it's decimating the line of scrimmage with our live audience of James Winchester, who right here had one of the more emotional plays I've ever seen in my 500 games. Is just days after losing his father, murdered in Oklahoma City, he recovered a punt right behind us, right here, as the long snapper, and I'll never forget it, man. That'll bring tears to your eyes.
Yeah,
good
amazing
dude.
Guy. Glad he's on our team.
So it links like special teams. A day like today, it's special teams. Who avoids the mistake in special teams? Snapping, punting. Who can get the return? Mims is a great returner for them. So he can be a game breaker with what he did against Washington with a 99-yard kickoff return. He's got a 50-plus yard punt return. So special teams are paramount, especially on a day like today.
We've had some good luck with special teams here. How about a few years ago, Byron Pringle on a very similar day to this, the kickoff return and touchdown. Let's do a few of those here today. McCole Hardman will be the guy back there today. And speaking of McCole, I caught up with McCole on the latest episode of Defending the Kingdom, our podcast, earlier this week. He is back. The Jet is back. McCole Hardman, only been here about a week and already making an impact, helping the Chiefs win a game on Sunday. McCole, just first of all, how does it feel to be back in Kansas City?
Excuse me, I'm writing this.
Yeah, do your thing,
All right, okay, cool. It's great, man. I love being back with y'all guys. All the coaches and the coaching staff, the players, just the atmosphere, the energy here. I'm excited to be back.
When you found out you were going to come back here and you found out the Chiefs wanted you back, what were the emotions like initially?
It was definitely, emotions everywhere. Because, you're still at an organization that you still want to, be a part of and do things with. Obviously it didn't work out. And just, coming back to your old team, it's like kind of like a blessing because you don't have to, relearn nothing. You don't have to, learn new offense. You ain't got to meet new people and, a new city and, get acquainted with certain things. And just to come back to something that and that you're very familiar with is a plus.
There's all the footage of you out there at practice, and your first day of practice, I think, was Thursday. You're just dancing with the guys. It's like you never left. I mean, was it kind of surreal that there was this 6-month gap, but you were just right back where you started?
Right. No, it's it was just like that moment of energy that I always have, that I always bring, and I think I'm just just gonna continue to bring the energy to here, the positive energy and the excitement, and just do that the best way I can to try to keep everybody full of energy. So.
And people like on the radio and everything wondering if you were going to play. In my mind, I'm like, he's definitely playing on Sunday. And you made an impact. That 50-yard punt return. Walk me through that. And then what's it like as a return man when you make that first guy miss and you hear the crowd start to get louder and louder? Like, what's that feeling like?
Oh, yeah. So, the punt before, I should have ended up catching, but I let it go. And I thought I was going to go in the end zone. And actually, it was a great punt by JK, but Toe was like, hey, you got to go get that, man. I'm like, all right, cool. So the next one, I'm like, I'm going to catch this no matter what. Like, if I get hit, I get hit. And I had a lot of room. I'm like, oh, man. And then the first person missed. Once that first person missed, especially when you're in the middle of the field, it's like, oh, yeah, this is like a 67% chance I can score this touchdown. And just going through my head was like trying to get to the outside and cut back, but I never got a lane to cut back. And but 50 yards, I'll take it.
It's pretty good. Set up the game-winning touchdown drive or game-sealing touchdown drive. You were doing your under-the-helmet interview a few minutes ago. I was listening to it. Your plan, because Dante Hall was being honored, being put in the Chiefs Hall of Fame, you're going to throw up the X if you scored. Was that the plan?
Yes, that was the plan. Because I didn't know he was getting inducted until like Saturday, I think. I'm like, man, it's crazy. If I return one, man, kickoff or punt return, I should throw the X up in the end zone. That'd be like iconic type thing, And I should have still did it when I went to the end zone, like celebrating. But man, I wanted to score so bad just to dedicate him, because I like Dante. He actually a good friend. Every time I see him, we speak. We have a conversation and everything. So definitely one of those guys that I've watched film on and seen what he's done back there and how he did certain things. So definitely somebody you can learn from. But just the honor would have been crazy though.
Now, the punt return was huge, obviously. People are going to remember that. What people might not remember, and they should, is your third down catch, because that extended the drive. Then one play later, Isaiah was in the end zone. Were you the first read on that, and how did it feel to get the football in your hands offensively and get that first down?
Yeah, I blame Pat that I didn't score. I could have ended the game.
Okay.
Because I am the first read on there. And I don't know what he was looking at first. Probably Trav, because he came. I think Trav came open too as well. It was kind of like man, I believe they ran, and I had just a drag route, over route, and if he hit me early in stride, I think I scored right there. But overall, I just made the catch and first down, and everything else is history.
Yeah, one play later, Isaiah in the end zone.
Touchdown.
All right, awesome stuff there from McCole. That was just a small portion of our conversation. We talked for like 5 more minutes. So go check out the podcast. It's on the Chiefs YouTube page if you're interested. But so great having McCole back in Kansas City.
But you know what's awesome? And you and I have tried to emanate this to the rest of the Chiefs kingdom. The reaction of our guys of McCole coming back. He was an infusion of energy in the hallways. It's like the kid that moved away from school came back. And their reaction on that punt return, it just told you everything. But every day he brings energy, and the guys love him, Matt. So it's actually more than what he does on the field to help this team.
Yeah, just an awesome guy. We love him too. He gave me a big hug and picked me up before the interview. It's like, I'm just so glad he's back in town. He brings great energy to the building, which you can use that,
Well, and go back and watch the podcast if you haven't, where we talk more about him. But he has the most forgotten great plays maybe in Chiefs history.
We talked about it on the podcast, yeah.
Fans lose sight of him, like, oh my gosh, these were awesome plays. And, oh, I forgot he did that, and I forgot. What are we doing with McCole?
Yep.
Like, he's better appreciated inside the walls than he is outside the walls.
We don't beat the Texans in that amazing comeback in 2019 where we go to the Super Bowl without McCole's kickoff return. The 13 seconds game might not happen without McCole, because McCole's play set up Travis Kelce's game-winning touchdown. We could go on and on.
On and on.
So glad he's back in Kansas City. This field is actually the site of his first ever 100-yard game as well, way back in 2021. So hopefully he can have another one of those here today. Now, we'll get the inactives here in about a minute. Before we do, though, it is promo code time, Mitch. And our promo code this week, I don't come up with these, all right? They were just given to me. This one is Spooky Sale. It's spooky sale. Halloween's coming up in a few days. If you say spooky sale at checkout at the Pro Shop sometime this week, you're going to get 10% off your purchase. Now, there are some rules around this, as always. The offer is not valid on game day or the day before. It cannot be stacked with other discounts. It's in-store only. It unfortunately does not work online. Got to be the Pro Shop at GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium. And it excludes memorabilia, Oakleys, Ray-Bans, and sale items. But all the stuff you see us wearing every single week, like these awesome jackets, spooky sale will get you 10% off your order. The one funny thing about these jackets, these are actually from last year. There's an updated version in the Pro Shop with a new patch on the side. Super Bowl 4, Super Bowl 54, and Super Bowl 57. Mitch texted me. He's like, we don't have the new ones with the patch. I'm like, man, we're living right if that's our problem, right?
And you said it's a first world problem. I thought, what an awesome answer. You got that right, partner.
It sure does. All right, we'll get the inactives here in a moment. We already know most of this, though.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of news coming out from the inactives here today. First of all, we already know about Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton will not appear on the inactives list, but he's not going to play here today because he is on injured reserve with that wrist injury. Nick had surgery on his wrist last week. Coach Reed said he's doing well, so hopefully he continues to progress here and we can get him back before too long. Plenty of good news, though. We just got the inactives, actually. Yep. Wide receiver Justin Watson's going to play here today after dislocating his elbow just a couple weeks ago against these Broncos. Just missed one game. You know, I dislocated my elbow when I was in 5th grade. I flipped over a bike and was trying to brace myself, dislocated my elbow. I would not have played 2 weeks later. What a tough guy Justin
You would
Watson
now.
is.
You're way tougher
I
than
don't
you
know
were
about
in 5th
that.
grade. Oh, no, you'd be out there.
But great having Justin Watson back here today. And just a disclaimer, you saw the news about Patrick Mahomes pregame, added to the injury report with an illness. No injury designation, though, and he's going to play here today. Patrick Mahomes is active, so that's obviously good news.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about Charles Omenihu being available. The Broncos did not see him 17 days ago. I got so excited, Matt, when I watched the video of the Charger game because I saw him up front when they had Chris Jones and him, Mike Dana, and George Karlaftis as the front four. They obliterated the Chargers, and Justin Herbert had no chance. Hopefully Omenihu makes that profound of a impact today against the Broncos, who've not seen him.
It's exciting because this is really a roster built for Steve Spagnuolo defensively. If you look back at the Giants who beat the 07 Patriots in the Super Bowl, Spagnuolo was the defensive coordinator for that team. Look at his defensive front there. It was all edge rushers, all pass rushers, and it was called the Four Aces back then. We're kind of seeing that here in Kansas City. Now looking at the Broncos inactive, same deal, not a lot of new news here. Wide receiver Brandon Johnson hurt his hamstring on Thursday. He was placed on injured reserve. Kind of a sneaky big deal for them. I mean, he has 8 catches for 122 yards and 3 touchdowns this season, ranked second on the team in touchdown catches. He's not going to play here today. And another guy you won't see on the injury report, but who's not going to play, is safety Kareem Jackson, one of their better players. He's played 406 snaps this year. That's 4th on the team in terms of defensive snaps. He is the best Pro Football Focus coverage grade on the Broncos. He's the only guy on the Broncos with multiple interceptions. That's a big deal.
It's a big deal because when he's working in concert with Patrick Surtain II and also with Justin Simmons, that is a top 5 or 6 group in the entire National Football League. You take him out of there now, and I mean, he's a veteran. He's a former corner, moved to safety. Coach talks about him every time we play him. He says, that guy, and I think he's underrated, but he's not going to play today with his suspension.
But otherwise, they are pretty healthy, all things considered. We'll close our show with this, everyone, kind of like how we started it. This Broncos squad is fighting. They're fighting. I'll give them that. They fought all year long despite a tough start. It will not be easy here today, but what an opportunity for the Chiefs to take another step forward toward hopefully an 8th consecutive division title by beating the Broncos here today. For Mitch Holthus, I'm Matt McMullen. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Let's go get a victory!